Hello, I'm Heydn, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about service blueprinting. I work as a service designer at a technology company here in Atlanta called NCR, and that means I use service design to help make the services that run stores, banks, and restaurants. And blueprints are especially helpful because they can help us understand all the moving pieces in systems and services that have to come together in order to deliver an experience. So in this brief explainer, I'm going to go over three things. What are service blueprints? They're a way to help specify and detail each individual aspect of a service. We're also going to go over why they're important. Service blueprints are really important because they get people on the same page. They help drive deeper understanding of a service. And then finally, how do you use them? And often, they're made collaboratively, using a visual schematic to capture all the relevant details. Now, what are service blueprints? And if you're anything like me, when you hear the word blueprint, your mind immediately goes to the Bluth family and their crazy adventures in Mexico. And if you're anything like me, you'll never pass up the opportunity to make a good Arrested Development reference here and there. And kind of like the Bluth Company, human systems can be chaotic. And service blueprinting is an extension of journey mapping, and it helps us to illuminate the interwoven and oftentimes invisible interactions below a system or experience. They help us make sense of the complicated interactions and understand the moving pieces. This may not seem like a big deal, but service blueprints can be really powerful tools because they help widen people's perspective and uncover things that they didn't know before. Think about all the pieces that have to fall into place for groceries and hospitals and restaurants to deliver the best customer experiences that they can. So let's take the example of a grocery shopper. Maybe she's using a mobile app while she peruses the produce and moves through the store. Maybe it's one that connects to sensors in the store, processes, checks, and flows that are all happening backstage. How do these harmonize and support her journey? And how do we even begin to understand this? Service blueprints are a visual artifact that can help us connect these customer experiences with both front stage and backstage processes. Front stage refers to people and processes which the user has direct contact with, those which can be perceived by her. In the grocery example, may be price labels, store employees, the mobile application, and so on. Backstage represents people and processes that are invisible to the user, that are hidden. So, maybe the loyalty and promotion management software, order fulfillment in the back, and so on. So let's keep going with the theater metaphor. It's helpful for understanding service blueprints. So we're the audience here on the left, and we can see the actor on the front stage. That is our experience, and that is what would typically be captured in a journey map. Add to that the backstage, where all support processes are, the crews, the lights, the sets, all of which should be invisible to the customer, but might not always be, and that's one of the values in this tool. Think of the backstage as the organization and all the things it does to make the front stage happen. And finally, there's behind the scenes, which represents all the intangible things that an organization must do to make both the front and the backstage possible. So here may be processes, policies, budgets, and so on. Think of journey maps as helping you understand what happens, and service blueprints build on them by helping you map out and understand how it happens. So, why are service blueprints even important? So by describing and outlining all the elements contained within a service, blueprints allow important details to be identified, including inefficiency, duplication, and opportunity. They help to align technologies, processes, and other aspects of a service for more effective outcomes. So here you might see something before and something after a service blueprint analysis. Create a shared understanding between these stakeholders by mapping out the system. And remember, each of these stakeholders may not fully grasp the complete system in question, so this can result in some aha moments. Blueprints can help bring attention to crucial aspects of a service. And then from this, you can dig down into the system and find opportunities for value. Think of blueprints almost like treasure maps that can help you discover weaknesses. Poor user experiences are often due to an internal organizational shortcoming. They're also valuable as part of a co-creative session, where participants can use them to visualize and assess disparate parts of a system, helping to create a shared understanding. So in addition to the grocery shopper, let's imagine the experience of a patient at a healthcare clinic, and the front stage actions she experiences in the form of the appointment booking portal, nursing staff, or equipment they use, and backstage items like room cleaning and prescription processing. Or Domino's Pizza, who call themselves a technology company that sells pizza. They developed the infrastructure for ordering pizza on Google Home, Alexa, from your smartwatch or TV, from your car infotainment, and even from Slack. About half of their headquarters employees are with IT. And when it comes to service blueprints, imagine connecting all of these moving pieces with all of the restaurants you also run. Or Coca-Cola, who use service blueprints for looking at their internal support and services organization, reimagining things in a customer-centric way. They held workshops with leaders and other relevant stakeholders using personas, journey maps, and blueprints to focus on the right problems. So how do you use service blueprints? You ideally use them towards the beginning of a project in order to understand the current system and to identify areas of opportunity. They are helpful to keep as a living document as well, one that you revisit and update as changes are made. This can help ensure greater intentionality and ownership. So to make them, start with the user journey. Make sure you have an understanding of this first, so that you can then dig into the underlying factors by detailing out those details. So start with the journey, and then build out the front stage and the backstage below it. And remember, it's always best to do these collaboratively, so that you can incorporate as many perspectives as you can to understand the entirety of a system. When you make a service blueprint, think about what the main persona can and cannot see. We actually mark that, and we call it the line of visibility. Let's go back to our theater metaphor. When we make a service blueprint, we start with the user journey. This is the audience, what the customer has to do to access the service. Then we think about what the user sees. This is the front stage, the actors, all of the activities, people, and physical evidence that the customer sees. Then we think about what the user doesn't see. This is the backstage, the crew, all the things required to produce the service that the customer does not see. And then we think about the internal processes, the internal interactions, the partners, all the support people. We write out the line of visibility here. This separates what the user can and cannot see. Then the line of interaction. This separates the user from aspects of the service they're directly interacting with. And finally, the line of internal interaction, where the business itself may stop, but these are the actions that support the service. So to make your service blueprint, you start by writing out the journey segments and detail out the journey. And the details below align around the user journey like this. Not all service blueprints need to be filled in. Just provide enough information to start to see the underlying systems, enough that you can have a conversation about what causes what and how we can truly make it better. So I hope you understand a bit more about what blueprints are and how they're useful to you. A blueprint is a diagram that visualizes relationships between different service components, and these are all tied directly to specific moments in a customer journey. Blueprinting is about the backstage and behind the scenes of a service and how that backstage ties to the customer experience. And to make them, get together the right stakeholders and build the user journey of the personas in question. Start by making the journey, write out the related touch point, and then document the underlying parts of the service that enable these touch points in the experience. Thank you very much. This was a brief overview of service blueprinting.